Now I know some people think that I'm a little bit OCD when it comes to looking after and cleaning my bike, and each to their own, but that's not where my disorder starts and finishes. Now, your crash helmet is without a doubt probably one of the most important and most expensive pieces of safety equipment you're ever going to have to purchase when it comes to motorcycling. And it's not uncommon to pay anything from £300 to £600 for a good crash helmet. Yet, arguably, the crash helmet is probably one of the most neglected and abused pieces of equipment that any of us own. Now, I know people that have spent £500 or £600 on the latest, greatest and most stylish cutting edge helmets available, and then they'll wear it for year after year doing nothing more than occasionally cleaning the visor, and only then it's because it's reached the point where they couldn't see through it anymore. Like a lot of things in life today, it's one of those items that people expect to just pick up and use without carrying out any maintenance whatsoever. General cleaning and maintenance is something that we should all get into the habit of doing with our helmets. And failing to do it and do it properly will seriously shorten the useful service life of that item. And in extreme cases, if you fail to look after your helmet, there may come a day when it fails to look after you. Now, there are already a lot of videos on the internet showing you how to look after helmets, and I'm not going to dispute that the information in any of these videos isn't relevant, because it is. But today I just thought I would show you what my regime is for looking after my helmet and keeping everything in tip-top condition, using products and methods that I've used for years. Now, I use a 3-tier maintenance regime for my helmet. First of all, there's yearly or annual maintenance, monthly maintenance and weekly maintenance. So we'll start here with the worst case scenario, your annual maintenance. This is actually a helmet belonging to a friend of mine. He's had this helmet for 4 years and he thinks he cleaned it once. Now, I'm not going to get into dismantling helmets because all helmets are different. So the first thing you need to do is remove the peak if it has one, take the visor out and remove the lining if it has removable lining. Now, before I go any further, I just want to say that this is my method of cleaning helmets, and there may be areas of my regime that conflict with what the manufacturer's instructions say about the helmet that you own. If that's the case, it's up to you to do a risk assessment and decide whether or not you want to use my method or whether you want to stick with what the manufacturer says. Now, as you can see, this helmet is absolutely plastered with the remains of insects. The paintwork on the helmet has not had any protection added to it over the years, so it's become porous, and what were originally the liquid remains of insects have now actually seeped into the paintwork, so this is going to take some cleaning. The inside of the helmet, I have to say, is quite disgusting. Now, it's black and grey and the camera doesn't really pick it up, but rest assured, the interior of this helmet looks and smells like a pair of old gentleman's underpants. Now, it's usually recommended that these removable inserts be hand washed, but to be honest, even after just a year's use, I don't think that goes far enough. So what I always do on an annual basis, either in late autumn or early spring, is a machine wash the removable inserts. Now, to prevent damage to what are pretty expensive parts, I always use a wash bag. These are quite easy to obtain from various sources, and you normally gain access to them either via drawstring or, as in this case, via a zip. Now, these are designed for machine washing delicate items so they don't sustain any damage, and they work very well. So all I do is I place my lining inside the bag, fasten it up, and I pop it in the washing machine. Now, I wouldn't recommend that you use normal washing detergent, and if you really have to, certainly don't use biological wash powder or liquid. Now, what I prefer to use is the tech wash type liquid washes, the kind of stuff that you'll find at outdoor shops for washing waterproof walking gear and outdoor gear, that kind of thing. It is quite expensive, but if you're just using it for this purpose, it needn't be a major expense. Now, most of your big outdoor names make this kind of liquid wash. In this case, make sure that you do just use the washing liquid and not the wash and reproofer, because they have started to do combined ones now. It needs to be put on a hand wash or delicate wash at no more than 20 degrees. Now for helmets with linings that are not removable, obviously we have to do things a little bit differently. I use Muck Off Foam Fresh Helmet Cleaner, and I also use this for my monthly cleaning regime. Now, granted, I am removing the liner from this showy helmet, but I'm doing that simply to show you the technique for using this stuff. Give the can a good shake, and when you dispense the foam fresh, it's a lot like shaving foam. I found that the best way to use it is to dispense some onto your hand, or the part to be cleaned, and then liberally rub it all over the surface of the area to be cleaned. Leave it to soak for 2 or 3 minutes, and then remove it with a clean, damp cloth. Now you can use this stuff on your leather gloves, your clothing, anywhere where you need to spot remove ugly stains and soiling. It is a surprisingly good cleaner, and to be honest, so far I've not found a product that can beat this. Now, as I've said, I do also use this on a monthly basis just to stop build-up of dirt on the inside of my helmet and to keep it smelling fresh. I bought the last can of it 3 years ago and there's still plenty of it left. So it is very economical and it goes a long way. Once it's finished, put it somewhere to air dry, preferably somewhere where there's decent air movement. Don't try to dry it with a hairdryer if you're in a hurry, and don't try to dry it on a radiator or use any other source of heat. Now, while your liner's washing and drying, it's time to get on with the exterior of the helmet. And as I'm sure you'll all know, dried on dead bugs take some shifting. I've always found the best way to deal with these is to get a clean microfiber cloth, soak it with clean water, then wring it out and just drape it over the affected areas. Leave it there for 10 or 15 minutes, and what it will effectively do is rehydrate those dead bugs and the bits of dead bugs. And they should just wipe off pretty easily. If they don't, just repeat this process as many times as necessary to get the marks and insect remains off. There should be no need to use any soaps or detergents on the exterior of your helmet. Just go around it thoroughly until it's all clean, and then using a moistened cotton bud, or if you live in America, Q-tip, and clean out all your vents and those inaccessible areas that you can't get to with a cloth. Once you've got the exterior clean, dry it off, and I would advise that you use some form of polish. Now, if you have a painted helmet, I don't see any problem with using a good quality wax of the sort that you would use on your bike. The reason being that if solvents were going to damage the exterior shell of your helmet, the manufacturers wouldn't have painted it in the first place. If you're not sure, Muck Off Speed Wax is the thing to use. It's water based, it imparts a good shine, it's easy to use, and it leaves a water repellent coating on your helmet. Now, matte paintwork is notoriously difficult to look after, whether it be on your helmet or on your motorbike. And despite the popularity of matte finishes, there are surprisingly few products out there which will help you clean, maintain and protect your matte paintwork. Muck Off's new matte finish detailer is perfect for the job. Although it was primarily designed to maintain the paintwork on motorcycles, it's eminently suitable for use on matte motorcycle helmets. Again, it's water based, so it won't cause any damage, and you use it in exactly the same way as you do the speed wax. Simply spray on, spread it around, and then buff it off. It gets rid of all those unsightly smears and greasy finger marks and leaves a dead flat matte finish, which is also water repellent. Now, the last essential piece of maintenance is of course cleaning your visor. Most high-end motorcycle helmets these days come equipped with pinlock visors, which basically are a form of double glazing. Now, your pinlock, which is your internal visor, is actually made from a permeable, moisture absorbent clear membrane. So as you breathe out, instead of it steaming up, it absorbs the moisture and keeps your vision clear. Now, there's a lot of mystery surrounding these visors, and hopefully we can put an end to that now. Over time, they do stop working, and most people seem to think that when that happens, it's time to throw it away and buy a new one. Now, these things cost anything from £30 to £40 each. And in essence, all that you need to do to restore it back to full functioning ability is to clean it properly. Now, through normal respiration while you're wearing your helmet, your breath contains all sorts of metabolites which build up on the inside of this pinlock visor. Over time, they clog it up and it becomes unable to soak up the moisture that you're breathing out, and then it starts to steam up. Cleaning it is really simple. All you need is some cold water with a splash of washing up liquid in it and a clean, soft cloth. Using that cloth soaked in the solution of washing up liquid and water, gently but thoroughly clean both sides of this visor. To remove your pinlock, simply have a look at the instructions that came with your helmet, and that explains how it's done. Once you've given it a thorough clean, rinse it under cold water thoroughly and then leave it to air dry. Don't wipe it, leave it to air dry. Whilst it's drying, you may as well clean your main visor the same way, and when this job is complete and your pinlock's refitted, you should find that you've restored it back to normal working condition, and it should be good for 6 months to a year. Now, for general day-to-day cleaning of the outside of your visors, or for those of you that have conventional visors or wear goggles, there's still a right and a wrong way to clean and maintain them. Most visor and lens damage actually occurs through people using inappropriate materials and chemicals to maintain them. And for the last 10 years, I've been using the various iterations of Muc-Off's visor cleaning kits. They're an incredibly handy pocket-sized kit that contains everything you need to keep your visor or your goggles clean. And it does surprise me that very few people actually have them. The kit contains a specially formulated lens and visor cleaner, along with a small cloth specifically designed for cleaning lenses and visors. It's a neat little pocket-sized package that comes with its own bag, and when I'm riding with friends, I always found that when we stop for a comfort break, there's always a queue of people waiting to use it. Now, you simply spray some of the fluid onto your lenses and then clean and polish off with the cloth. It's as simple as that. It will shift all but the most ancient mummified insect remains and leaves you with a clean, smear-free lens or visor. Now, just because you don't have a pinlock, it doesn't mean that you have to put up with a visor or lenses that regularly fog up. They do also do a handy anti-fog treatment, and I usually reapply this to the inside of my goggles about once a month. Simply spray it on, smear it around with your cloth to ensure that the full surface is covered, allow it to dry, and then just buff it off. Now, unless you remove this with your visor cleaner, it will stay active for several weeks and it'll keep your visor or your goggles fog free. So that's basically my annual cleaning regime, and by the end of it, if you've done it properly, you should have a clean, fresh smelling, sparkling helmet. On a monthly basis, I clean the visor and clean and polish the shell of the helmet. I also check the lining, and if it's starting to look a little bit grubby or it's starting to smell, I use the Foam Fresh just to clean up the heavy wear areas and get the helmet smelling nice again. If you have very short hair, or you shave your head, or you're just follically challenged, transfer of grease and sweat into the lining of your helmet is going to be much quicker, so you might find you'll have to do it more often. And of course, on a weekly basis, I just check the helmet over, make sure that the visor's clean, and give the exterior shell a clean, and that's basically all there is to it. It makes sense not to allow your helmet to get too dirty. Now, once again, thank you for watching this video. I know it's been a long one, but I hope you found it useful and interesting. I'll leave links for all of the products that I use in the video description, and I'll see you next week.